Good evening, and welcome to season 4 of Taking It to the Nub. Going on 4 years with this show. It seems to get better year after year. And tonight is the night where we talk about the top 22 cigars on Stogie Press. We've got 3 very special guests we're going to be having on tonight. We've got Espinosa Cigars with Hector Alfonso. We've got West Tampa Tobacco Company with Ricky Rodriquez, and we're going to have Crux Cigars with Casey Haugen. We're going to bring them in just a minute, and stay tuned because you're ready for a fun show. You got comments? Put them in the comment section, and let's get this show rolling. Bring everybody in. Hello, Mr. Warmth, Hector, Ricky, and Casey. How are you, Casey?
Good. How you doing?
All right. We are live. We're running. And glad you were able to get in and join. I forgot I sent it to your cousin and to you.
I know that guy.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, buddy.
You guys are the stars tonight, man. Amazing cigars. Before we get started real quick, what are you all smoking tonight or drinking, if you're drinking anything?
I am not drinking. I am having the knuckle sandwich chef special.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it to connoisseur number 4 here, but I can't smoke it inside here. I just flew into Minneapolis, but I am drinking a Guinness in celebration.
All right.
I have the attic, and I'm drinking my favorite beverage, Bud Light.
There you go. And
it doesn't affect your palate at all.
And because I don't want to offend anybody in the room by smoking any one particular cigar, I decided to deconstruct them all and rebuild my own out of it. No, actually.
Love that.
What do you call it?
The monster? Frankenstein?
Yeah, Frankenstein. You can't use that. It's used. No, actually, I reached in to my do not touch box and I pulled out this is the very last of the very original Boston Jimmie 60th birthday cigar. So there's no more. This is it. This is the last one. So I figure I'll smoke mine, and that way we all got our own cigar that we're smoking tonight, which is awesome. And I'm pairing it. No, it's not a left-hander. It's in left-hand glass, but I'm actually pairing it with this phenomenal craft root beer, which I got at Aldi today, man. Like, wow. So trying to cut back on the alcohol. So I'll take 160 calories this way.
Yeah, I'm cutting back on the alcohol. That's why I'm drinking beer.
There you go. Cheers.
Salud.
All right. You guys all share something in common. You're a #1 cigar in your category on Stogie Press this year. And most important to understand that, if you look at the reviews of all the cigars I've done, when it comes to point deductions, every one of your cigars got 0 point deductions. And on my scale, that means every cigar starts at a 94 and they get point deductions off. And then we got some bonus points that maybe bring you up on special qualities. You got 0 deductions. So anybody out there, if you want to get on the top of a Stogie Press list, I can guarantee you, unless you have a real crop of crappy cigars that I smoke, you got to have 0 deductions because you're not going to be the #1 without that. So keep an eye on that in 23. Anybody?
Well, I think I speak for all of us when I thank you for appreciating our burn cone. I appreciate that. Yeah.
And you all had great burn cones, nice ashes. Some had longer ashes than others. So you all got nice ash. Okay.
I've been hearing that a lot lately.
It's common for everybody has a different sized ash.
Mhm.
Yeah, so that's another common thing we have.
Yeah, everybody's got a different size ash. I keep
Yeah,
telling my
yeah,
wife
yeah.
my ash is disappearing the more I work out. And she says, that's a good thing, Jim. Stop complaining about
I'm talking about the front side of your house, not the back side.
it.
Is that bigger or hanging? I don't know.
Yeah,
All right.
okay.
Boom, this show's already
You
going
know,
exactly as I expected.
exactly.
It's, I got the
Remember, kids are
camera.
watching. Kids are
Yeah,
watching.
kids are watching.
21
Okay,
plus though,
children.
21,
They gotta be
21 year
21
old. Gotta
21
be
to watch.
21.
Yeah.
21 to
Okay.
watch.
All right. So a couple of things. Let me just I'm gonna share some stuff here as we're doing this. Gotta go. So I want to start because I know Hector, you told me you're on a bit of a tighter schedule.
I'm at an event. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm at an event.
So I'm going to start with you. I'm going to run down to the bottom. So we had 3 categories. We have a medium, a small, and a large. And I'll be honest, this year I really thought hard about this and said, no, I've considered you Espinosa Premium Cigars to be in a large category these days because A, you've been around a long time, you got your own factory, you have a lot of reach, you make a lot of cigars for a lot of other people. So in my mind, that's where you are now at. You're a major player in my book in the industry. So that's why you're in the large category. This cigar, the Knuckle Sandwich Maduro, absolutely lit me up perfectly. I mean, you had a phenomenal burn on this. It's an incredibly well-packed cigar. No loose, none of that stuff. There was no soft spots, but it wasn't rock hard. Okay. The ash stayed right at the end. I mean, this is just like a beautiful finish to a cigar. That's what you want it to look like, right? That you're not just keep dropping ash all over. I think this ash dropped 3 times or twice actually, and that was the third part of the ash. You had some interesting competition though.
Very good competition, I see.
Yes. And it was EP Carrillo, when I smoked that, and that was one of the last cigars of the year I actually went and got and smoked because I liked the craft of that. And it came in really close, but they did get 1 point deduction, which automatically you could see how that already stops the train from running. But anyway, great cigars were up against EP Carrillo Allegiance, the Agrinorsa, the Hiram and Solomon Treaty, the Cohiba Series M, and then the CAO Pelon Añejo, and then it kind of wraps out with the rest of the guys. When you guys created this with Guy Fieri, you had a chef in a room with a chef, essentially you building cigars. How did that whole process end up coming together? And did you realize how great this cigar was going to be?
Well, the process started, when we had him over. And understand, when you're dealing with a celebrity, especially a guy at Guy Fieri's at his level with his schedule, we knew that we only had the one shot, the one time to talk to him. We were lucky enough that he came to the warehouse on a Saturday or Sunday. It was on a weekend, and we had his undivided attention. And while him and the master storyteller, Eric, were going back and forth on stories and things that they knew and things that they shared in common, I was just plying him with cigars. I went into the office, and if you've been to the factory, if you've been to the warehouse, you know that my office is the sanctum. That's where all the cigars are. And I pulled out everything that I thought he might like. And, as he was talking, I'd put a cigar in his mouth. I'd give him 15 or 20 minutes to smoke it. Then I'd get another one ready, and I'd ask him where he was on it. And he'd tell me, and I in that 3 hours, and of those 3 hours, I probably had a good 2 hours where I was interacting with him. I got a chance to more or less get an idea of where he was going with this palate. Like everything Espinosa does, there had to be a kosher alternative. Because from the beginning, I was always thinking Maduro, but there always has to be a Habano alternative because Eric is all about Habano, as you guys know. So we came up with these, we had an idea of what we wanted. We were still not traveling because of COVID. So I got behind, I got at my desk and I started to write down some blends that I liked. and that I thought would kind of hit where he wanted it to hit. Now, every time we go into this, every time we start a project, we're hoping that it's going to be a cigar that not only the person we're making it for likes it, but it's something that the consumer will rally around. Not once did I realize, and it didn't hit me until rating season this year, that I knew that these cigars, the knuckle sandwich cigars, are going to be under an incredible amount of scrutiny. Not more, I mean, just a little bit more than everybody else's, because it's a cigar being made for a celebrity. And we know that in the past, a lot of celebrity cigars have not really panned out. But we were, I want to say that, we had a lot of good fortune that the cigars were good. And Guy got behind, not only did he get behind the cigars, he got behind the idea of promoting the cigars. This is a guy who he did his first event in Puerto Rico. He went to Abe's Great Smoke. He went to the PCA. He came to La Zona Palooza. He went to Cigar Aficionado's Big Smoke. He was heavy on social media, talking about his cigar and, and photos and sharing it. And it really, for a company of our size, understand that we had never undertook a project of this size and this magnitude, but we were very lucky. The wheels really got spinning on this cigar right away. And like I said, we were very fortunate. The cigar, on top of everything else, the cigar was good. And if you didn't like the Maduro, you had the Habano to fall back on. And as we look through this season of the ratings and all the cigar media outlets that have put out ratings, the cigar has been equally split between those that like the Maduro and those that like the Habano. I personally am a Maduro guy. I love the Maduro. I think the Maduro hits more in my wheelhouse. And here we are talking about the Maduro and how well it did. The construction, of course, it's a cigar that's made at AJ's, and I don't know anybody more meticulous about production and making sure that his cigar construction is perfect than that factory. So, we were hoping for the best, and we were really surprised that it never once during this 12-month cycle, because the cigar came out last January when Eric and Guy did their first event, did this cigar lose any momentum or any steam. So we were very, very lucky.
Awesome. And you guys hit it out of the ballpark with it. So congratulations on what a journey you've put everybody on with that. Ricky, let's go to you next. A guy from a very large company breaks off and creates this tiny little company called West Tampa Tobacco. Wasn't even in your game plan originally. You had to be convinced that this is the thing to do. And you went and dove back into the cigar industry and expanded your brand rapidly across the country. You had a great name going behind you. People knew who you were. Your first two blends were decent. People liked them. People were talking about them. But this Attic series is like another level. What was your intention with the Attic series? Was that your intention to create like a phenomenal cigar, or did you get caught by this and be like, holy crap, this really came out awesome?
He has his sound off. You have your sound off, Ricky.
Thank you, bro. I think every blender comes to the table with a target, and so the target is sometimes give somebody an everyday cigar, something that they can pick up and smoke and enjoy and go throughout their life. But sometimes you want to give them a little bit extra, maybe a celebration cigar that's kind of unique, or a cigar that's hard to find, or there's not many out there. And that's kind of the story behind Attic. But Attic has a life in itself, because this is the first release of Attic. And Attic, in our mind, is going to be the opportunity for me to play. Because again, when we launch a full-time line, it's about the fan base. It's about supporting these guys and girls or ladies to enjoy a cigar every day if they want. But the Attic series will allow us to play with unique tobaccos, showcase a blend that maybe we want to put on the market for full time, but not put the pressure on the shop to, there's a new line, buy all these boxes, and good luck, and I hope it works for us. But when you do a smaller version of a cigar, like, okay, we believe in this blend. Let's test this blend. And how do you test it? We'll create this little series called Attic. And so we're going to release it. The feedback is negative or positive. You can react to that and all of a sudden have the opportunity to launch it full time. Or if it doesn't work, nobody's hurt. Your shop owners didn't buy, 10,000 boxes. They bought, 1 or 2 boxes. So that's kind of the stories behind. We knew right away to challenge this little factory that we're working with, our Corindia factory. We wanted to introduce him to a new tobacco that he didn't have access to, and that's the reason we chose the wrapper from Mexico to introduce that to him. And then that's really the first cigar that I was able to really concentrate with him and really share my knowledge and listen to his knowledge. And those kind of roads came together and created the Attic.
Okay. So the future Attic series are going to do something similar. You're going to be putting something out and testing it again. Now, this one, I know I'm not the only one that has given it such a high rating. And are you going to be making this now as a full production?
Wow. Okay. Yeah. You know what?
Based on what you said, I mean, it's like
He's just trying to break a story, Ricky. That's all. He's just trying to break a story.
So you know what? I would say, if I was a betting man, I would kind of put a bet on that square that it's going to be released.
Okay.
Yeah. So because again, we knew that we had something that we enjoyed. Again, everybody's different. Every palate's different. Every shop is different. And so, but the feedback so far has been very positive. So if I was a betting man, I would bet yes, because that is our game plan. If it works, it works, and we can launch it full time. If it doesn't work, don't worry about it. We can, reblend.
And kind of in a quick summary of it, I'll just say in the rest of the field, you also had some really good competition because I had you in the small category field here. Now, next year we may have another conversation because I think you're growing very rapidly. But you had Dissident Cigars, which I was thinking that one might actually be the one, right? Well, that Attic knocked it down to the next number 2. The Cigar Clowns, Scaramouche. I don't know if you guys smoke any of the Cigar Clown cigars. Extremely limited, very small productions. They're in, they're out. People complain, why do you even talk about those cigars if I can't get them? Because they produce some pretty cool stuff, whoever they're working with and whatever they're getting that stuff from. That Scaramouche was just off the chart too. And then we had a small company called Apostate, okay, called Deseret. Okay, these guys are kind of fall off the Mormon chart. That's why they're called apostates. That's their story, right? That was an interesting cigar. And then I had a series of Connecticut's that came in the small category. All right. So like the Amendola Cannoli Connecticut, the Serafin de Cuba, right over there in the west coast of Florida. All right. There, El Principal de Gales, the Prince of Wales. That cigar, when I had that, I had to get more. That thing was a perfect morning cigar for me. All right. And then the Bocock Brothers World Traveler Connecticut. So there were like three Connecticut's right up there at the top, which really good. So
surprising.
Yeah,
surprising.
Well, again, I'm not one that's going to say I like Maduro over Connecticut. That's not my job. My job is to say, what does the cigar taste like? How does it burn? How does it perform? Is it balanced? Does it have too much bite? And those Connecticut's didn't have that characteristic bite. Let's go to Casey. Now, Casey, not only are you the #1 medium cigar company, cigar of the year, but you're also my overall #1. Okay. The Crux Du Connoisseur came in at a 98. And some people may say, Jimmie, you're absolutely nuts. You put a high number on this stuff. Come on, you crazy. All right. If you didn't smoke it, don't talk. If you have smoked it, tell me I'm wrong. Because I believe that Crux Du Connoisseur number 4 is the best expression of that blend. What do you think?
Thank you again. Obviously, yeah, that means a lot.
Wow.
Coming from you, you've rated a lot of our cigars, and there's obviously all the other names that you've talked about, especially with these two legends that we're sitting here with. You know, they've all got incredible cigars as well. But the De Connoisseur number 4, obviously, originally the De Connoisseur line came out 8 years ago in 2015. And then when we re-released the packaging a year and a half ago, 2 years ago now with the number 4, obviously it was a size that we wanted to add because, I mean, and Hector can attest to our love for Coronas, 46 ring gauge cigars that are roughly 6 inches. Ours is 5 3/8, but there's just something about it when you get a little bit more room for expression on some of those fillers that we could with that Jalapa Habano wrapper that we have, Indonesian binder, Yamastran, and Nicaraguan fillers. Yeah, I mean, it's very, very, very rapidly became, if not my favorite, one of my top few favorites in our lineup. And even before we released it, I was, that was kind of my cigar that I always had that was unbanded in that size. And I just had them in that Corona Gorda because to me, that expression, that flavorful, that spice, medium bodied, kind of what I am. And I'm not an overly strong cigar smoker, but I like to pair it with a lot of different things. But no, we've done very, very well with that size, and that size obviously coming from a small format, little series with the Lancero, short Lancero, and then a Panatella are the only other sizes. This brought a little bit more traditional size into that line. So it gave some people that aren't traditionally going to smoke the Lancero S type cigars to actually give this one a shot. And I think it's done very, very well for us.
And it absolutely has, from my perspective, when you look at your numbers, and I'll go around the room, when you look at your numbers on these particular cigars, where do they fit in your portfolio as far as growth in your mind compared to things you've done in the past? And I'll start with you, Casey. Yeah.
The De Connoisseur series for us is going to be a very, very, very low percentage of overall sales, only because it is Lancero, Panatella, Corona Gorda, and short Lancero. So it's going to be a very, very, very small percentage, almost not negligible, but on that low side of we want to do it because we like small ring gauges. But if you extend a traditional sizes, Robusto, Toro, Gordo, and then you come out with a Corona, great. That's awesome because, a lot of us like those sizes. However, when you have a line that's based on a smaller ring gauge and we actually had to make it bigger to get to a Corona Gorda, I think it's the exact opposite. So for us, allowing people to have that a little bit of impression that don't really want to go to, a 38 or a 35 ring gauge cigar, like not many people are willing to take a shot on something that's so, so thin. So for us to add something larger, hopefully it drives people into that blend in maybe a different size as well, or just smoke the shit out of the number 4. But it's going to be a small percentage of it. But for us, I mean, it's definitely a market that we've always, made sure we had Lanceros and small format stuff because, we smoke a lot of them, and, it's something where you do get a highly concentrated flavor profile that you can get in a medium bodied cigar.
Beautiful. I'm going to go to Hector because Hector, I just got pinged by your colleagues that you've got to get. They got 80 people in an event. They need you. So I'm going to let you answer that question, and then.
Well, listen, and before I go, I wanted to thank. I'm happy to be on a show with Casey, who is a friend of mine, and we were roommates for several years over there at Espinosa. And Rick, who I just met a couple years ago, and congratulations to both of you guys. As for the cigar, when I came into the industry, 5x50 was the blend size that I would blend everything in 5x50, and then we would just, cross our fingers that, when it went to 6x52 or 6x48, it would, that we stayed in the same wheelhouse. But everything that I've blended in the last couple of years, I blended in 6x52. So with the exception of a couple that have just happened to be better iterations in a larger size, 6x52 almost is always the best iteration. Personal preference, like Casey likes small ring cigars. I don't like such a small ring cigar. I'm more of a 46 and 48 guy. Toro's in our sweet spot when it comes to what we do at Espinosa and what we're doing with Guy Fieri and Knuckle Sandwich. You know, the Toro, I think, is always going to be a strong representation of what we're trying to get out there and trying to do. So, you know, we just launched the Connecticut for the Knuckle Sandwich, also the 6x52 in it. You know, why? If it's working, we're not going to try to fix it or break it. So we're just going to keep moving forward with that.
All right.
So, all right. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, guys. My
Fantastic.
best friend Casey, thank you.
Take
Ricky,
care.
thank you as well.
Great to see you,
Thank
buddy.
Thank you,
guys.
All right.
Good
Happy
luck,
New
man.
Year's, bro.
Thank you. Happy New Year to all three of you, gentlemen.
All right.
Great to see you, bud.
Thank you. Happy New Year. All right, Ricky. So again, I know you've grown very rapidly with the white and the black. Your Attic series, have you sold out of them yet?
Well, we did. We did in the first week, so that was amazing to us. So that just shows us they are buying into West Tampa. We're realizing very quickly, gone is, oh, we want to support Ricky. We love Ricky. So all about Ricky. In less than 3 months later, it's about West Tampa. So when we launched Attic, it was you have a new West Tampa, of course we're going to buy it. And so that was music to ours. We only created about 2,000 boxes for the US and about 500 for the European Asia market. And both sides of the pond had very good success in the launch of Attic, for sure.
Fantastic. I do have a comment from the audience coming in from Kelvin Brown. This one is for Crux. He says, I put the Crux to the test. I set it aside for 9 minutes, picked it up, and it drew full throttle.
Ugh.
Yes, I agree with that. That cigar, that's something that I don't even know if I mentioned.
Love that.
One of
Love
those
that.
cigars you put on the side and just let it just simmer and you pick it back up, but it's ready. It's still smoking. I mean, that's to get that to work in a cigar is not easy. Okay. As Jimmie says, fabulous cigar. Appreciate your craft and attention to detail.
Thank you very much. We definitely, strive to have consistent quality cigars. And obviously we have some good business partners that help us out with that. And then spending time with the quality control aspect for the almost, we're coming up on 9-year anniversary here in a few months. So, we've come a long ways, but that's what we just strive to make the best cigars we can and be as consistent as we can.
Fantastic. What we'll do here is I'm going to take a short break here to shout out to sponsors. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about where you think things are going. We heard a little bit from Ricky, but we'll talk also to Casey and where things are going for Crux and what's coming up new as far as events you may be at, where people can check these cigars out at. So today's show is proudly sponsored by... And today's show is brought to you by Casa Cuevas Cigars. In the 19th century, Juan Cuevas, Spanish immigrant from Santander, began what was to be a family business which now spans 4 generations. Like others fortunate enough to live and work in Pinar del Rio province of Cuba, Juan commenced cultivating tobacco, turning it into a successful business. Following in his father's footsteps, his son Juan Jr. continued with the family business, successfully expanding it until events which took place in 1959 forced a dramatic change. Years later, in the Ciabo Valley of the Dominican Republic, Luis Cuevas Sr., Juan Jr.'s son, carried on the family tradition of handcrafting fine cigars in the family's cigar factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas. Today, Luis Sr. is joined by his son Luis Jr. in the manufacturing and sale of premium long filler cigars at their factory, Tabacalera Las Lavas in Santiago, Dominican Republic. So check out Casa Cuevas Cigars at www.casacuevascigars.com and on their Instagram and Facebook channels.
Introducing Blackened Cigars, M81 by Drew Estate. A dark, bold, and unapologetic cigar collaboration.
My job is all about taste. So when James mentioned he wanted to create an exclusive cigar, I was stoked. like Metallica. Drew Estate has some of the most hardcore fans out there. I've known Rob Dietrich for years, and when he approached me to collaborate on this, we couldn't be more excited. I mean, Metallica, Black and Whiskey, and Drew Estate, what could be a better passion project? Needed to craft a cigar unlike anything in our portfolio.
We'll never take cigar fans on the deepest, darkest, heaviest journey into the mystical world of Maduro.
Full-bodied with notes of espresso, leather, and dark chocolate. Blackened Cigars, M81 by Drew Estate.
Before you light your next cigar, be sure to check out Cigar Medics, the makers of the patent-approved humidimeter. The humidimeter is a tool designed to display the relative humidity inside your cigar. With this device, there's no more guessing. Simply insert the probes into the foot or cap of your cigar, and you can instantly know if your cigar is ready to be smoked. Buy now on cigarmedics.com and see site for other cigar accessories. With the humidimeter, you'll know when to hold them and know when to smoke them.
And today's show is brought to you by Bocock Brothers Cigars, a new and active brand founded by two Honduran brothers, Bryant and Douglas Bocock. The brand zeroes in on those folks that are looking for easy-to-smoke cigars inspired by unusual circumstances. Very importantly named after their very interesting and imitable last name, Bocock. Right now, Bocock Brothers is featuring their signature edition, made at the A.J. Fernandez factory in Esteli, Nicaragua. It features an Ecuadorian Sumatra wrapper, a Nicaraguan Habano binder, and a Nicaraguan filler. Available in 3 popular formats, a Robusto, a Toro, and a Gordo. You can check out Bocock Brothers Cigars at www.bocockbrothers.com. And today's show is brought to you by Platinum Nova Cigars. Platinum Nova is a family-owned and operated premium cigar company. Only the highest vintage tobacco and the most skilled hand workmanship go into the making of each Platinum Nova cigar. This results in a timeless blend of art and craftsmanship. The Nova brand and the family's work are a tribute and an honor to their grandfather to always remember him and his infinite passion for the finest cigars. Their love for cigars started with their grandfather, a dedicated master blender and entrepreneur in the cigar industry. So the next time you're looking for that exquisite cigar experience, pick up a Platinum Nova. You can check them out at Platinum Nova Cigars, www.novacigar.com, and on their Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter channels. All right. Thank the sponsors for out them. This show's always a little harder to do. Let's come back to our panel. So Casey, so over the years, last few years, Crux pretty much went through a rebranding, few line extensions, but really not anything new. Is there something in the works for 23 that's coming out, or 24?
Yeah, the last time we came out with a brand new blend was actually 2018, which was the Epicure Maduro. We do have the cigar we launched or announced last summer that is still in the works. It's almost here. It's getting closer and closer day by day, but I do have the Epicure Habano, which we announced last summer at the PCA. That should be out here sometime at the beginning of this year. So that'll be our newest release, our first new blend in 5 years, almost 5 years since it came out. Epicure Habano, going to be our first time using a Seco Habano wrapper, made at Plasencia's family factory with the same filler binder ratio, not ratios, but same filler binder tobaccos that we've done with the Connecticut and the Maduro. Just adjusted the ratios on those with the Condega filler as kind of the major component in that filler. Rolled out the Plasencia family factory, which has obviously been a great partner for us for a lot of years. And so, yeah, we're looking forward to that. Just waiting on a few packaging items, and we'll have that out sooner than later, hopefully, because I'd love to see that in the market as soon as we can. But so that'll be our newest thing. And then we're working on some projects. Actually, another reason why I actually flew up and landed in Minneapolis, kind of on a last minute trip, because I had to come visit my cousin Jeff, which I'll go see him here either tonight or tomorrow morning. we got some things to go over to plan for our new project that we're working on for this year. To get out, because the one we're still trying to finish is the one from last year. And not that we need to come out with new cigars every year, because obviously we haven't come out with one in 5 years, other than repackaging, rebranding, line extensions. Been doing a lot of different things, growing a sales force, growing our distribution, selling more and more cigars every year. And didn't need necessarily just new blends to, be in the portfolio that we're going to, compromise anything else we've done. But we definitely knew we needed to use this tobacco with this Habano. So we've got a few things in the works. So hopefully we get to talk more about that, this summer. Obviously at that trade show would be the time where we start talking about that new project.
And you're talking about this Habano. So this is a leaf you guys got from Licencia that is just spectacular in your mind.
We absolutely love it. I mean, being able to use a Seiko wrapper Seiko for wrapper that is a medium bodied. It is very, very, even in the medial color. Usually you have a lot of inconsistencies with the Seiko stuff that we've seen, and we've used it a lot in the fillers. But they were working and growing a lot of the stuff, and we finally found one that wasn't overly strong, because if our portfolio doesn't have anything very strong, we try to go with clean finishing, medium bodied cigars. Our strongest in our Bull and Bear, to me, is a medium plus at best.
Yeah.
For us, but we say for ours. So the Crux consumer is going to be more that clean finishing, medium bodied cigar. And it's always hard to create something new without finding new tobacco. So we have to go with either things that we source from other farms or other factories. But then when finally we found a Seiko wrapper, because the Bull and Bear has a Habano Viso and this has a Seiko. Completely different flavors, obviously completely different insides on those two cigars. But just like even Hector was saying earlier about the love of Habano that they have. Yes, we love Habano as well, but you don't want to cannibalize the sales in a cigars that are doing well just by Habano. And we don't have, the portfolio like some of those massive companies that they do, or the collaborations that they've done. So, we only have 7 blends on the market. So we just can't put out another Habano that tastes similar. So had to come out with something completely different using different tobaccos. And thankfully we've got a really good base blend in our Epicure series that we love. Obviously adjusting the strength from the Connecticut to the Maduro, and then adjusting it a little bit down for the Habano. It's just going to be a great pairing cigar. Some people would say we have alcohol problems because I always talk about pairing it with alcohol. But I've been smoking this with my favorite Scotch lately, in testing purposes only.
Of course.
Quality control. I've been smoking that cigar a lot with Glenfiddich 18, which is one of my favorite dollar for Scotches. And honestly, for us, I don't think there's a better night with the Epicure Habano and a Glenfiddich 18. But the difference is this used to be the one that was always my go-to, the one you gave number 1, because I've been smoking this cigar since 2016 is when I think when we started blending it in this size. Obviously didn't come out with it till a lot later, because it actually never made a full release in the old packaging. But this is a Viso wrapper. So this one has obviously an Indonesian binder and Yamastron and Estelil Haro fillers. So these two cigars have nothing in common other than that they have Habano wrappers, but they taste completely different. And that Habano sweetness, in theory, you get a nice liquor pairing. And I think that's a great
do they have the same Habano wrapper, or are you using
They do not. No, they don't. They're
different?
No, right. not even close. They one's a little darker, one's Habano, one's Seiko, one's Viso.
One Seiko Viso, right? Okay, I forgot.
So
my question is, Casey, are you going to stick to your foundation and sizes when you launch this new product, or are you going to kind of try some other sizes?
So the Epicure actually comes in 6 sizes. We do it in a Corona Gorda, Robusto, Toro, Robusto Extra, Gordo, and then a short Salomon. We're originally going to launch the Habano in the Corona Gorda, Robusto, Toro, Gordo. It's going to come out in 4 sizes to start. Obviously some room for some line extensions. In the, the short Salomon was a line extension for us. We've done very well, but obviously based on numbers, they're the two weakest sellers is across the board with a Robusto Extra and a short Salomon. And for a company like ours, just putting a bunch of extra, let's call it 6 figures into packaging to launch a new product when you can eliminate 2 SKUs, year one and then add them later.
Love that.
You can save on 6 figures in packaging. So we started that on 4 sizes because we know we need Robusto Toro Gordo. And then I know I need Corona Gordo.
Right. The chef always needs what they need, So
that's a great Vitolo, though. I mean, the Corona Gordo, the more people I've spoken to over the years that started with the big macho cigars, they're beginning more and more. I hear them say that they're beginning to discover the slightly smaller ring gauges because they seem to be getting a little more flavor out of them and so on. And I'm like, come on over. You'll eventually figure out that it's not about how big the cigar is, but where the flavor is coming from.
And I think this happening for one reason, because the factories kind of faces are talking about the differences and convincing these guys bigger is not always better in certain cigars. And you need to start to, it's like a guy going to the humidor and say, I've only smoked full body cigars. You're wiping out 90% of your humidor. Why? Because in my eyes, pick the right blend of the right body for the right moment. Do I want to start my day with the rocket powered full body cigar? No, I want to open my palate and let my palate grow throughout the day with me. So
now on your line, Ricky, on the attic, okay, we talked briefly about the concept of the attic. One of the things you're doing in your marketing of that is the story of the attic is what's in Ricky's head. It's his memories. It's his experiences that are going to be transformed into cigars that he's going to remind himself of these memories when he gets older, right? If I got that correct. And he's going to share that with us. The first one had the Chivetta, and that's your grandfather, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, my grandfather brought that from Cuba to start to work in World Cigars with my grandmother and Tampa.
Right. And now you also have a little QR code there that you can scan and it takes you to a video. My question as a tech geek, have you been monitoring how many hits to that video you've been getting?
For sure we do. And we're surprised that there's some, because I was just talking about this on Monday to the marketing team. I said, bro, the next time we do this QR code, I think we need to put it on the front so they have the opportunity to walk through the humidor and take a picture and scan it right there. Right now, I think a lot of people don't realize it's there because it's in the back, it's a foot band, and they just peel it off very quickly. But so we're learning that placement is very important, but we're also learning they are finding it and they are reacting to it, and they are resharing this little story called Attic. Yeah, for sure.
And that's a terrific concept from a marketing perspective, because at least you could see that people are starting to get interested in what they're smoking and why that cigar is there, where the idea came from. So that I love that idea.
I think more people should because Casey can't be everywhere's. Right. We can't be everywhere's, but our voice, our storytelling, our face could be everywhere's if you apply this. And make it simple, make it short, make it important to you to get that message out, but make it something that they can kind of eat, digest, and go on.
Right. Now, one of the other things that, Casey, you had talked to me about when I saw you here in Melbourne a few months back, you were telling me about the special thing that you've been doing with boxes and being friendly to the environment. You have these, right?
Wow.
Yeah,
that you're
so I mean,
Love that.
it started years ago when obviously for me the biggest thing for us and Jeff and I when we were trying to figure out how to, you know, get product to market without spending like we talked about 6 figures in packing and boxes and wood, and so we started the refill brick, which essentially looks, something like this. Which for us, this is obviously our new version. This is number one what it was. It was different when we started, but we do a lot of that in our packaging. But all this packaging is made out of recycled cardboard,
Love
first and foremost.
Love
So it comes out of recycled cardboard. Obviously, it brings down our carbon footprint and makes a lot of things a lot more green for obviously the deforestation in Nicaragua and the fact that, hey, for us, I mean, yes, our business will stop if we don't have packaging, but why does it have to be traditional packaging? So for us to, obviously we need some sort of display on retailer shelves. And what we do is our display dress box, as well as now our refill brick, which we've done for years. And that dress box is still wood, but what he's more referring to is this year we launched our new initiative with our new packaging. Is why it's taking a little bit longer with the release of the Epicure Habano, is because that's going to be a 100% recycled cardboard box. Completely, which not identically, but almost completely mimics our current wood boxes. But it's going to be 100% made out of recycled cardboard. So that box, the fact is it's recycled cardboard, it's printed material, it's not handmade, it's not cutting trees. It lowers our cost, which allows us to get it to the consumer at a more economical price, or without increasing prices. Most importantly. But what it does is it saves on freight, it saves on trees, it saves on, green initiative means green in a couple different ways. Number one, environment, and number two, the pocketbook. So if we can, find a better way to display our product from our perspective, from our retailer's perspective, and then to the consumer, we want to not just necessarily raise prices every, twice a year. It seems like what everybody does. If we can find better ways to, mass produce our products, from every little aspect. And if we can make packaging a little bit cheaper and, we can pass that savings on to keeping our cigars, because eventually cigars hit a ceiling. If you just raise them, 5% twice a year, you're going to end up with $25 cigars that used to be $9. So we try to do different ways in buying, and then obviously when we source products. But, the recycled issue, it's definitely important because, you walk into every humidor in the country and there's a stack of boxes for sale for $1 to $2. And we know those boxes, nobody paid $1 to $2 for those boxes. And it is a waste. It's a waste of the craft. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of everything, other than we need to, safely get cigars to retailers. And that's a lot what the box really does. And then we have the marketing aspect, and we want to sell them. But if we can get the product to the retailers safely, protected, packaged properly, we'll try different ways. And that's where our refill brick comes into play. And we sell more than these than boxes. I mean, literally it's 4 5-packs, 20 count, same as the other ones. But then the new fully recycled box is why the Habano is taking us just a little bit longer than I would have expected, because we're working on a completely new process for us. So we're looking forward to that. And, we'll see how it works. We hope it works just as good as we expect. And if it's a failure, we'll make adjustments, and we'll make it a success, because we're in it for the long run.
fantastic.
Excellent. It really is. It really is. I think this is a sample. We're thinking the same way you guys are thinking, and it's going to be a sample of pushing up. I think the large manufacturers are going to see what you're doing and start to copy that, because this is the right thing to do. So I applaud your company to do that. I have a daughter who's only 31 years old. I'm thinking about her child and her future with her baby. And hats off to you guys to think about that little detail as a box, because when I throw my boxes that I've received for my garage guys to smoke, it just breaks my heart when I just throw them away, because I know how hard it was to make that box and how much effort was into that box. And it happens all over the world. So kudos to your company. Stay focused and do it. If it fails the first time, try again. Yes. And I will follow you guys. And
Appreciate
we'll be, I love it. I'm sorry, bro. All right, it's your show, but
No, that's fine,
No,
man.
bro,
it's our
that's-
show. It's our. He invited
Yeah,
us,
yeah,
so it's our
yeah,
show.
Your
yeah,
show.
today.
This is
That
not
is-
about me.
that's
It's about you.
something-
It's our show.
Yeah, but that
Well, with that
really
said-
rings true. Yeah.
With that said, I'll just say Paul Casavant chimes in. He says he found the attic because of Jimmie. Great smoke and loved the QR code on the footband. It was cool to watch while smoking a cigar. Great job, Rick, and thank you, Jimmie. So thanks,
Thank
Paul,
you.
for that shout
Thank
out.
you.
Let me take another fast moment. I'm not going to go into all the details here. My feedback says don't get into all the details. Just tell people this stuff is here, so in case they haven't watched the site lately. So this is what's new in news and reviews on Stogie Press. So real quick, 3 reviews this week. The Byron 19th Century Petite Pomus, 96 rated cigar. This is a phenomenal cigar. It's been around a long time, but this is a phenomenal cigar. Terra Nova, the Araparique Toro. Now, what's really interesting about that name, they coined a new phrase. This is using Arapiraca tobacco process using method Perique, meaning that they take the Arapiraca and then they put it into the whiskey barrels under pressure for a year to continue the next part of the fermentation. So they coined this term Araparique, which I found interesting. I had to do a little research. That doesn't sound like a leaf. That's something else. And that's what that is. So you can check that out. And then I reviewed the El Artista Buffalo 10 Connecticut, which came in at a 90 also. In the news, not a big news cycle. Punch is coming out with their spring roll for the Year of the Rabbit. So you can check that out. They're going to come in these cool little take out Chinese packages. So there's a packaging concept, right? And then Hoyo de Nicaragua has announced that they're coming out with the Cuatro Cinco Edition Europa, which is for the European market. And then lastly, on Taking It to the Nub, the last episode of Take It to the Nub, which we had at the end of December, which was the cold weather smoking tents, is up there now on the YouTube channel. You can check that out. And keep close ties to this, because this week I will be putting out an article on my #1 lounge I went to, and I'm also going to identify what I think was the best accessory that was that's out in the market right now. So with that, we'll come back to the panel. This is where we do a fun, fast lightning round to learn a little more about you. So, and things you like besides cigars. I know our lives kind of rotate around cigars, but Casey,
I love when you're up first. I love it.
Gives you time to think about what the hell's going to happen.
Exactly.
That's fine. Hit me, Jimmie.
Favorite sport?
Golf.
Favorite movie genre?
Comedy.
What's your favorite comedy? The one that
Step
busted
Brothers.
a gut. Busted a
Step
gut.
Brothers. Step Brothers.
Step Brothers.
Wow. Great
All right.
movie. Great.
So Ricky, growing up, what was the hardest challenge you had to overcome?
I got some softballs.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Yeah,
coming
right.
back to you.
You know what? Knowing that I had to run away from my house at 15 years old. I that's a challenge. When you have all your gatherings in a paper sack and you leave your house, you don't think of ahead, where we're going to stay. So that was the first challenge. Where am I going to stay the first day I left my house?
Wow.
Now
right.
I just brought down everybody.
Yeah, we were talking about comedy.
Exactly.
We're talking about
Exactly.
Step Brothers.
The fuck. Okay. All right.
It's okay. All right.
A softball. Second question.
Second
Softball.
one, I'll throw you a softball. Your if you had all the money in the world, what would be your daily car drive?
Oh, I would love to buy my old VW Bug that was my first car and redo it, and it was convertible. But that when we took the roof, it was cracked. The road was cracked, and it's just rained in. So I would love to do that. So I just a '72 Beetle. If I can have that in the garage, fully done again, everything there, AC. And that would be the thing that I would buy first.
Terrific. Casey, what was your worst high school subject, and why
Thank
was
you.
it that? And why was
My
it?
worst high
I
school
mean, your
subject?
hardest. You know what made you shiver?
It was
Take a test?
science, because I was told by my high school science teacher I wouldn't amount to anything because I slept in his class too much. So
I slept through the geometry, and I got like a super A on it. It was my teacher didn't even understand how I did that.
Can I answer for just going to school?
those were tough.
Yeah, that's just going to school.
Well,
I don't know. They were all bad.
It was
all
hard to
bad.
walk. It was hard to go walk to school uphill both ways in the freezing snow. I get it.
Yeah.
For sure. Especially in Tampa. Slippery.
What was your biggest fear, Casey, growing up?
Failure.
Failure.
Yeah, I mean, I came from a family of, my dad's a college baseball coach, and you know, you're playing a game that is based on failure. And the thing is, you fail 7 out of 10 times, you make it all the way to the major leagues, you're in the Hall of Fame. You know, it's a game of failure.
Right.
So you learn to deal with it. So trying to find a way to avoid failure for your entire life, whatever that means to each individual, is really what you have to look in the mirror for. But for me, it's always been, you know, that's my biggest fear is, you know, letting down the people that, you know, obviously raised you and that you love, but just looking yourself in the mirror and understanding if you're succeeding or failing.
Have you all been doing any recent streaming of shows?
Recent streaming?
No.
So
I'm a movie guy. Yeah.
Well, you know, I've come to appreciate streams. If you watch it, pretty much binge it, it's like an extended movie. That's the one thing I've learned. And their good ones actually work. And one of the ones I just saw, if you want to watch something, you really want to have a good time, it's a show, it's a heist. So if you like heist films, this is a cool heist thing. It's 8 episodes, so it's a short series, and it's called Kaleidoscope. It's on Netflix.
All right.
Now, the key is, and I'm not going to tell you the storyline, but what's cool about this is that if Ricky was sitting right next to you and you both picked up your devices and you just started streaming that, and he says, watch, and you say, watch, he's going to get a different episode than you are. And then the next episode is going to be different. So they randomize it, and you get different episodes in the timeline. It's like a 27-year timeline in this whole story overall. So the character development is all through it, but you might pick it up right before the heist. You might get it 27 years earlier where you don't even know there's a heist happening. Okay. And when you do the math on it, I know I forgot to tell you there's math involved today. If you do the factorial on the 8, there are 5,000, I think, 40 different combinations of streaming that out. So it's and it holds together magnificently. Okay. I mean, there are some episodes that are, you know, just, well, probably could have done without too much of that. But overall, great show to watch and great way it's delivered. So fun thing.
Yeah, so that's interesting. I think that's the same thing with working with the tobacco, because you have so many combination. If you just use the same fillers, the same binder, and the same wrapper, and just play with all those, and it's amazing how much you can create with using only a handful of tobaccos. Yeah.
I'm
It's
glad you're
amazing.
my straight guy, because that was my
Yeah.
follow-up to this whole reason I did that. But thank you. That's great. We did not
Right,
practice
yeah,
this. This is
yeah,
just
yeah.
randomly
Wow.
came out.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely correct.
Mm.
Anyway, we've hit the top of the hour. I always promise an hour on the show. I know you guys are busy. I know Casey needs to probably get over to see his cousin.
First, I'm going to go hang out with my nephews.
That's important. That's important. Did you see them for Christmas at least?
No, I would not have
Oh.
come to Minnesota twice this time of year.
So Uncle Casey's coming with presents?
Oh, they already got them. There's a shipment service that delivers everything.
Yeah, but yesterday was Little Christmas. So you could have brought the little Christmas gift, you know.
Could have, but I didn't.
Hey,
New
here's a
Year.
quick question before we close. Speaking of Christmas and Little Christmas, see if you guys know this answer. In the 12 days of Christmas, how many gifts are there?
No clue.
No clue. Yeah.
So you start with turtle doves and the partridge in a pear tree, and you start.
Yeah,
If you
ring.
count those, how many rings?
Yeah.
12, 11, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,
So you
1.
got to do the factor. It's 364 gifts.
Perfect.
Okay.
The only day that doesn't count, that's not in there, is Christmas Day.
That's a
Now-
good.
Now I can sleep tonight. Now I can sleep. Yeah.
Now it all makes sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
whole jingle
Mhm.
makes sense, right?
Wow,
That's
wow.
great. All
Yeah,
right.
I
With
did
that, I'm gonna call the show. I'd like to thank you, and also Hector, who's not on right now, for joining us. And I'm gonna give you guys the last word. I just want to let everybody know that next week I'll be down at the Heritage Fest in Miami. I'll be there on Friday and Saturday. We are doing a Saturday show, so I'm going to be able to break in and do a Saturday show for an hour. I'm going to be doing it with Steve Newman. For those that don't know Steve, many people that are on Facebook know Steve. Steve Newman has created what's called Wiki Cigar. So it's a cigar. It's all about cigars, but it uses the Wiki platform to do it. So he is creating this thing, and he wants to talk all about what he's doing and how he's trying to grow that and provide lots of validated knowledge about cigars for consumers. So that should be a fun show to watch. Ricky, give you a last word.
Just have a great new year, and I hope everything that you want comes your way. But thank you so much for your support for West Tampa, and look forward to the new year and releasing some great cigars for you to enjoy.
Awesome. Thank you. And Casey?
No, I definitely. Thanks for what you do. Obviously, every one of us appreciates what the media brings to the table, especially obviously when we get to do these things with the accolades that give us, a little bit of pleasure for the things that we try to achieve on an annual basis. And we thank you for everything you do. Crux Cigars looks forward to hopefully doing this again next year with you.
We'll see. I'll definitely see you at TPE. I think, Ricky, you're going to be at TPE.
I will be there. Yeah, for sure.
So be ready for. I'll make sure I get in those early moments, because we got gifts to give you.
I love it.
Thank you for all you do. Appreciate you, Rick. It was
Really.
great talking to you.
Bro,
And congratulations.
thank you
to
so
as
much,
well.
bro. Thank you
Awesome.
so much. And guys, have a great day.
All right. Thank you, everybody. That's
All right.
it.
Bye-bye.
Have a great weekend, everybody. Thank you for joining.